Bracketology presented by Dave Campbell's Texas Football, breaking down the 2020 UIL Texas High School Football Playoff Brackets. I'm Greg Tepper, and this is the 3A Division II bracket. You can find a printable version of this at texasfootball.com, and you'll need it because I think we're going to spill some red ink on this, because what I see here is the potential for a lot of craziness. I think there's a couple of steady ships in the sea that we're going to expect to see deep in the playoffs. But aside from them, I think this is a wide open bracket. I think you're going to have a lot of upsets, quote unquote, teams that finish lower in their district than the team that they beat. I think this bracket has a chance to be really, really fun. Let's take a look at Region 1 first and foremost. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. There is a heavy, heavy favorite here. Can you spot him? Can you spot him? Can you spot him? That's right, it's Canadian. The Wildcats have to be the favorite here, the number one team in 3A Division II. And I think that they proved that in Week 11 with their absolute hammering of Childress, who, by the way, I think is still really dangerous. But their reward for losing to Canadian is that they get a first-round matchup with Abernathy. That's no fun, because Abernathy, I think, is playing very well as well. Ballinger is an interesting squad. I think that's a team to keep an eye on, potentially as maybe a bit of a sleeper here. But this is the dirty half of the region, okay? Because you've got Spearman with Brennan Thompson and the way that they're playing, they're very dangerous. You've got Childress, you've got Abernathy, you've got Ballinger. This is a very tough part of the region. Down here, for Canadian, a little bit more manageable, right? Bangs is an interesting squad. I think the Dragons have a chance to make some noise, but they scared me a little bit with their loss to Ballinger a couple of weeks ago. Can they get that offense going with Ethan Cortez and Ethan Sanchez? The bottom half of the bracket, I'd like Idalou out of here, but I must say, keep an eye on my Alpine Bucks. I think the Bucks have a chance to make a run here, but I think that probably Idalou is the favorite here to challenge Canadian here. No matter what, Canadian never got a chance to play Spearman. Their district game was canceled because of COVID-19. But if we get that matchup, it will be the first time, perhaps, a challenge for Canadian. But the Wildcats, Coach Chris Kedding's squad has to be the favorites here. Let's go to Region 2. And on Region 2, this is, to me, Gunter's region. And it was made even more so by the way the bracket broke. I'll explain this. Okay, I think Gunter's the best team in the region. That's my personal opinion. They're the number 2 team in 3A Division II, according to Dave Campbell's Texas Football Rankings, the way that they're running the ball, the defense, et cetera, all that fun stuff. Furthermore, I think they avoided the second, the third, and arguably the fourth best teams in the region. When you're talking about Eastland with Baron Morton, when you're talking about Holiday, the way that they're playing, when you're talking about Bells, that is a team to keep an eye on. By the way, keep an eye on Blooming Grove. Coach Cheeseburger's doing an unbelievable job there. This side of the region is, I think, very dangerous, and you're going to have a lot of teams that are kind of cannibalizing one another. Whereas Gunter, I think they're going to be a favorite over Rice. Jacksboro Henrietta is an interesting matchup in the first round, but I think they'll be a favorite there. Palmer is a team to keep an eye on. I think Palmer is flying under people's radar. Maybe not a brand name that you're familiar with, but Palmer have been very good. I think Gunter's your favorite. Comanche is an interesting kind of sleeper there, but I think Gunter's your favorite to come out of this part of the half of the bracket. I think that they could see either Eastland or Holiday here in the top half of the bracket, but they would be the favorite in a regional semifinal, regional final rather, which of course give us Canadian versus Gunter part 100, basically. Let's go to Region 3. And in Region 3, a lot of this depends on what you think of what you've seen lately, okay? In the early going, Newton, of course, no stranger to state championships, Newton was a team that struggled out of the gates. But they have figured things out. If the last time you saw Newton was in like the first game of the year, you're missing out because they have been excellent. They have a tough draw here. Harmony, of course, the defending regional state runner-up, and Paul Pewitt there as well. That's a tough draw. Hooks is a very dangerous team that just got done knocking off Dangerfield up here. They're dangerous. Elysian Fields, of course, the champions of District 11. This is a tough part of the region. Up here, you've got a lot of fun as well. I think we're careening towards a Wascom-Dangerfield second-round matchup, and that is chef's kiss. That is a fantastic matchup. I think that's probably the 2 best teams in that side of the bracket, although West Rusk might have something to say about that. This is a really balanced region, and I think that what you're going to end up seeing, if Newton has truly figured it out, they can get here and see probably the winner of the Dangerfield-Wascom game, although, again, keep an eye on West Rusk. To Region 4 we go. And in Region 4, I think I've got my eye on 3, maybe 4 teams. The 3 teams I've got my eye on. Franklin, okay? Franklin, after a slow start, has gotten excellent play from their defense, and I am really excited to see how far they go. East Bernard is probably your favorite to come out of this top half of the bracket with respect to Franklin maybe. But the one thing I'll say, that first round matchup with Lexington with Jared Kerr, that's a team that I think struggled down the stretch. But if they flip the script, if they turn it on, that's a dangerous team in the first round of the matchup. If I'm East Bernard, I'm not happy about that draw. I think that's a tough draw in the first round. Meanwhile, the bottom half of the bracket, a lot of this comes down to what you think of Poth struggling against Natalia in Week 11, because that was basically the first time that the Pirates have been anything close to mortal. Poth has been just rolling past people. Now they're going to get big, tough tests. They're going to get tough tests against either Tidehaven or Rogers. Down here, I think Buffalo, Brandon Houston's doing a great job with the Bison. I think that team is very dangerous, especially if they're figuring out the defense starting to come along. This is a really interesting region overall that's got a couple of teams, especially Franklin, East Bernard, Poth, maybe a team like Buffalo, that have a chance to make that deep run. But what is going to end up happening is that they're going to end up cannibalizing one another. And what you're going to end up seeing is two teams that have had to fight to get to a regional final. That's going to make this a really interesting region. Look, overall, I think we're careening towards Canadian versus Gunner Part 1000. Oh, and then over here, it's kind of a mystery box. This feels like it's set. This feels like it could be anybody's ball game, and that's what makes this so fun. Canadian, I think, is the favorite to win the state championship, okay? What they've done has been absolutely outstanding, but they've got to get through a tough region, and furthermore, they've got to get past a tough team, maybe in Gunner, or if they get upset like a team like Eastland or Holiday in the state semifinals. And over here, I mean, pick a name out of a hat. It could be really anybody's ball game. 3A Division II is going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to have you covered every step of the way at TexasFootball.com.